get into it. So, I like to start, like I explained to you guys, I like to start from the higher time frame, right? The weekly, just to try and see where I believe we're trading in, what PD array we're trading in, right? So if we go to the weekly, we can see that we've actually gave everything, we've took everything back that we dropped, right? That drop, we're already almost done. We're not too far away, right? We're 183 handles away, 183 points away from weekly open, which is not a lot. We saw what, like a 900 point drop the other day, and we recovered it over 2 days. Who's to say, tomorrow we don't take that back and attack these highs right here, right? This high, and then all time high with FOMC and all the earnings that are coming up. So a really really important level for us going into tomorrow, which we don't normally map out when we do the daily bias, but it's the weekly open, right? The weekly open is so close. Trading above the weekly open confirms that this was just manipulation to go higher. And now if we go to the 4 hour, I'm still going to map out that imbalance that I showed you guys, the one that we're trading, and the PD array that I believe we're trading in. So I believe that this PD array from the high back here, which is all-time high, I believe, no, all-time high is over here, I believe. Yeah. So this high here, right? This bad boy here. Let's map out our array. I believe that we're trading in this big array here, and we've already broke above the 50% of the array. We've already broken above what I would consider it's time to be bullish. Like, hey, Chavez, don't even look for shorts. Look for bullish price. If we do go short, I don't anticipate us to break this, which is what? A fair value gap on our key level, right? I anticipate us to go higher. I don't think we'll drop and go lower. If we do drop underneath this PD array equilibrium, this is going to be our level that we want to take our shorts. So underneath 428 tomorrow, we're going to do what I explained on the lower time frame earlier, right? Is we're going to attack this low. That's the nearest low on the 4 hour if we break this. Tesla, Meta, Microsoft, FOMC, if they're both bearish, we can see us coming back down to attack the discount right down here. So this would be my level going into news tomorrow, as where I want to look for shorts. And then the weekly open is not a target. It's just a level I have on my that I'm gonna have on my screen, just because it's a very important open, right? Like a very important level. Like I said, we looked at the chart and it just the biggest wick ever on the weekly candle. And then this imbalance that we created here that I explained to you guys that we talked about, we're also trading at and attempting to trade above the 50% of this, right? And then this imbalance here, which is the fair value gap, if we add the gap here, this would be the fair value gap that we're trading in, or the imbalance we're trying to fill. So erasing the fair value gap, just leaving our weekly open, and then adding our level here for bullish above and then short below. Sorry, I don't know how to spell. Short below, right? I want to see more bullish price. I want to see us attack weekly open and come for this gap tomorrow. I would like to see that overnight. I would like to see that um, before even FOMC, right? Before crude oil inventories, like before all that, I would love to see us come up and attack weekly open. So for now, one of my routes, one of the ways I believe that we're gonna head is I believe overnight, right? And it's already what, about to be 1. So overnight, oh, it's about to be 12. Sorry, it's central. Overnight, I want to see us come up and attack weekly open. That's going to be one of the scenarios, right? So one scenario we have already is attack weekly open. That's one. And if we want to look for reasons to be bullish, right? We have what? We have this 4 hour fair value gap that we did what? We created when we took out the key level. So our bullish above, short below, we can get rid of it. Why? Because now we have the low of the fair value gap, which coincides with this level. It's maybe like a 10 handle gap. So now we have a little zone, right? So this level is the 4 hour, or we can use it as a, right now. We can use it as an inverse to drop, or we can come down, right, and fail to fill it and go higher. So going in overnight, I want to see us attack weekly open. That would be my go-to scenario. If we're not headed towards that, oops, sorry, I added this level back. If we're not going to head up to weekly open and we're going to continue lower, because this is technically great market structure to go lower because we are attacking the 50% of equilibrium, the 50% of that range that we have drawn out, then I want to see us what? Drop down into the 4 hour and use it to go lower, right? That's going to be our scenario 2. Scenario 1 is we go for weekly open. Scenario 2 is we go for underneath the 4 hour and use it to go lower. And then number 3 would be we tap into the 4 hour and use it to go higher, because that would create what? Our market structure shift to go higher. We have our lowest, our low here, our lowest point, our higher low, which is our basic signature of a price curve for the market going higher. So super simple. We don't got to look into the 1 hour. We'll go into the 1 hour just to see, to map out structure a little bit easier. But you can see we have Asia here, which is liquidity. We have this gap or the low of New York, which is liquidity. And then coming lower underneath the 4 hour, right, what would we attack? Liquidity, liquidity, and liquidity. So leaving it here on the 1 hour, we have 3 scenarios, right? We are going to go straight for the weekly open, drop underneath the 4 hour and use it to go lower, and then drop to the 4 hour and fail. This is the important part. Fail to fill the 4 hour fair value gap and go higher to weekly open. So those are going to be our 3 scenarios going into tomorrow. We have this array, I believe we're trading in. This is that big imbalance on the 4 hour. This and this is our 4 hour fair value gap. And then this is our weekly open. So right now my draw on liquidity is going to be weekly open. This is the weekly open. This is where I want to see us hit, or the low of Monday. These lows are prominent. They're good areas to take profit, or they're good areas to use as targets. But ultimately, what I think is going to happen is if we come down and we take this low, we're going to go for this low, and then we're going to attack this one. Do you guys have any questions? If not, it's pretty straightforward. 3 different scenarios. Just reading the chat. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. But yeah, pretty straightforward analysis, right? Two ways that we go to weekly open, and 1 way where we drop. And this just shows that, going into tomorrow I'm bullish, because I have 2 reasons to stay above the 4 hour, but I only have 1 reason to stay below it, right? I mean, if I was bearish, it would look something like, oh, right now we drop, or we come up and tap weekly open and we go lower. And then the other scenario we created where we fall underneath the 4 hour and drop lower, that would show that I'm super bearish going into tomorrow, right? I want to see the market fall. But I'm actually bullish. I would like to see us attack weekly open, because like I said, we're just so close to weekly open. The weekly open, excuse me.